Tonight, NDC minority in parliament produced documentary evidence they claim exposes government cover-up in $12 million alleged inflated Norway Chancery building scandal.
You can tell that this is really Ghana, the Ghanaian government making demands on the seller. There shall be installed 2 toilets as shown in the drawing. They provided a drawing to them. D, and you say you only express interest. This is an expression of interest that must be recognized by the Guinness Book of Records. E, the seller shall install a kitchen.
They're demanding a full-scale probe as they draw in the president.
This whole decision to open an embassy in Norway, the decision came from the president and there was a cabinet approval. To what extent is the president aware of this transaction?
And you know, Topstory is always brought to you by Bond Savings and Loans. Your success, our passion. Gasem, the nation builder. Vodafone, the future is exciting, ready. And nationwide medical health insurance. Your healthcare family. My name is Evans Benson. In the last few minutes, the minority NDC in Parliament, they've been addressing a news conference in the wake of the alleged inflation of some amounts for the purchase of a building in Norway that will serve as a chancery for the country, Ghana. The minority had alleged yesterday, this was on the floor of Parliament, producing some documents, which was rejected, by the way, and were not accepted by the Speaker, and which alleged, in essence, that Ghana had inflated, there had been inflation in the cost of the building which Ghana had planned to purchase to serve as a chancery, as much as $8 million, they say, has been the inflated figure. A building that cost $3 million, they said just last year, we're ready to buy it, the minority claim, for $12 million. The government, obviously, today issued a press statement denying those claims, insisting that no money has been spent and no financial loss has been occasioned. In the last few minutes, the minority members, they have been addressing the press conference and also playing to the journalists there videos and also reading copiously from contract documents. They say show the government had accepted to pay the $12 million in question and also had gone ahead to make demands for the building to be renovated, and they claim that renovations are actually ongoing and they show videos to back their claim. Listen to Samuel Kujita Blakwa, who is the minority spokesperson on foreign affairs, also the ranking member on that committee in Parliament.
I seriously had wanted to consider my options, but based on
the 13th of December, and note, this is an important date. The minister informs Ghanaians that on the 12th of December, she wrote to the parties that they are no longer interested. They should stop all due diligence. Meanwhile, you've gone beyond due diligence. You've told them about your specs, what you want, kitchen in the basement, 2 toilets in the office, and all of those things. You know, spruce it up nicely for us. A day after that letter was purportedly delivered, and it's one of the demands we'll be making at the end of this press conference. We want to see that letter. And we want to hear from the parties who received the letter, because they made an offer, told you 7 days. If you don't want it, don't. You accepted it, and then they went ahead to carry out their part. If we can see the video now, you'll see that on the 13th of December, yes, you can show any of them first. There are 2 videos. So this is, you can see snow. So snow is this season, so it's not an old video. This is the external, and we have WhatsApp versions we'll make available to you at the end of the press conference.
At least the snow will tell you that it's not in Ghana or Africa.
Yes. So we took the angle very well, so you can see the address, the residential address, and you can compare it with what we are talking about, the documents, the exhibits that you have. So that is your Ghana Chancery in the making. So that's the external. The second video will take you to inside the property, what was going on. So on the outside, you can tell that this is a recent video. It snows only in this time of the season. So it's not an old video. And that's the same property. It tallies with the pictures that you have seen, which we made available. No, that's the same video. There's a second video. Yes, that's it. And there was an interaction. The team we sent there interacted with the workers, and they all know that they are working for Ghana Mission, and they are following the specs. The kitchen in the basement, the wardrobe at the entrance hall, yes. Yeah. So we know the government we have, and we know what they do to us when we expose them. So we did our homework very well on this matter. And this is a much longer. So you notice that a lot of work is going on.
He then lays out from documents what he claims are the specifications as far as the renovation is concerned as requested by the government of Ghana.
You can tell that this is really Ghana, the Ghanaian government, making demands on the seller as per this agreement. It says that the small wall on the second floor of the ambassador's office shall be removed, and the electric installations shall be installed on the inside of the wall with an opening of 30 by 30 centimeters. B, cables which cannot be removed in the opening shall be placed in the boxes. C, in the office on the ground floor, there shall be installed 2 toilets as shown in the drawing. They provided a drawing to them. D, and you say you only express interest. This is an expression of interest that must be recognized by the Guinness Book of Records. D, wardrobe in the entrance hall shall be completed and ready to use. E, the seller shall install a kitchen in the bed sitting room in the basement. A kitchen in the basement. 5, I'm reading the entire agreement. 5, the offer is made with the reservation that approval from the municipality to change permitted as of the property from residential to embassy has been granted. The seller shall apply for the application for change of use. If the approval has not been granted by the agreed date of takeover, the takeover date will be extended until such approval has been granted from Agency for Planning and Building Services. Any complaint forwarded on an approval does not extend the date of takeover. If there is no decision on the application by 1st February 2019, both parties can terminate the purchase. A purchase agreement shall be concluded based on the standard contract for purchase of real estate from the estate agency business Sam & Johnson. The offer is valid for 7 days from 22nd November 2018. And this clause is a very interesting clause. So if you only express interest, how come you gave them your specification? Now, clause 7 is saying that this offer is valid for 7 days. Clearly, there has been an acceptance because we are gone past 7 days. You appeared before Parliament from the 6th of December and you were talking about this transaction. 22nd to 6th December, when they first appeared before us, is gone past the 7 days.
They want the president to open a full probe into this matter.
We know it's in Vienna, Austria, but he returns tonight. When he returns, we want to hear from him. Because this whole decision to open an embassy in Norway, the decision came from the president, and there was a cabinet approval. We do not know to what extent cabinet and the president is aware of all the documentation brought to us. Before you bring us documents, all of these inflated figures, it should have gone through some due diligence within the executive. Parliament is not a dumping ground where you come and dump all these documents for approval and then you say that you have only gone to express interest, that you didn't really mean the approval that you were seeking from Parliament. We want to know, to what extent is the president aware of this transaction? And he must speak to this matter, and he must commission a full probe into this matter. We want a national inquiry into this transaction.
I just been joined on the telephone line right now by the Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister, Charles Oredu. Hello, Mr. Oredu. Thank you for your time here on Top Story.
Yeah, thank you, Ivan.
Also on the line with me is the minority spokesperson on foreign affairs. He's also the ranking member on that committee in Parliament, Samuel Kudito Ablaka. Mr. Ablaka, I'm grateful that you joined us.
Thank you, Ivan.
Mr. Oredu, let me start with you. Did you make a request to the seller to make changes to the building after you accepted the offer?
Evans, I'm grateful for this opportunity, and let me use your platform to say hi to your listeners. Evans, let me say that your question is a categorical no. One, it was an offer. What is read, what the Honorable Kujetu Ablaka read, was an offer. And as I speak to you, we've never accepted the offer from the from the seller. We don't. If you can even show you a copy of that document he's reading, there is no Ghana, Ghana written on that document. So how come he claims that this document is from or is by this seller purporting to be an agreement between himself and that of our country, Ghana? There is no name in the Ghana on that document. And let me tell you, Ivan. Now, this whole thing came as a result of our decision to open an embassy in Norway. The reason being that, Ghanaians in Norway have been complaining, not only in Norway, because our mission in Copenhagen serves the interests of Norway, Finland, Iceland, Sweden, and all the other countries. And when people need services, they are not able to get services. There are issues that they have in their various areas of jurisdiction. And when matters come up, there are no Ghanaian officials, to just bail them out. So, and again, looking at at Oslo or Norway, look at the bilateral agreements that we have with Norway. Norway, in terms of oil and gas, is one of the leading countries in oil and gas. In the fishing industry, it's also one of the leading countries.
Mr. Redu, I understand the justification why we would like to open a chancery there.
I'll go there.
But I want to come drill down to the specific, the controversial points.
Don't worry. Let me give you the basics, because people are also listening. They would have to understand that why at all are we even opening a mission in Norway? It's also very important that
very briefly, sir.
It's clear. So having said that, we dispatched a team, a 5-member team, to Oslo to first, look at the possibility of having a structure. It can be rent or whatever, so that when we move in, at least we have a place of abode. Now, this team came back to us and made a report. Out of the report, they had some options, about 3 or 4 options, and they presented a recommendation. Their recommendation was that out of the 3 or 4, we should, select this one. Of course, we looked at the technical reports that were submitted together with these options, and we decided that, okay, we're going to go for this. Now, the minister gave them, the go-ahead, to start talking to these people. Then Mr. went to Japan with His Excellency the President. Then on the 12th of December, she got wind of an article in a newspaper somewhere in Oslo saying that this figure, the seller who is selling this property to us, has padded the figures and all that. Then quickly, she called in to Accra and demanded that we discontinue, this whole discussion, even on this property. So as we speak now, Minister has not signed any agreement. We have not expended a peso. So the ordinary person, the Ghanaian taxpayer, he said nobody has expended a peso on this property. So for me,
my question, Minister, did you or did you not accept the offer that was made to you?
We have never accepted. Let him produce a signature from any official from this ministry.
My second,
that purpose to show, or that of the minister, because the minister who is supposed to sign this agreement, let him show you any document signed by our minister or any senior official here that purports to show that we have indeed accepted this offer from this seller.
My second question, if you did not accept the offer, why did you take documents to Parliament for the Foreign Affairs Committee to consider approving the amounts for the purposes of the purchase of several buildings as part of our diplomatic missions, and which included the Norway building?
Evans, you've asked an excellent question. Evans, we never sent any documentation to Parliament seeking the approval, to pass whatever request that we've sent to them. This was an arrangement we had with Société Générale. We had these monies about 2016 thereabouts under the NDC. They contracted this facility. So there's no any agreement that we have here that shows that we brought a request to Parliament to pass this for us to be able to expend. No, it never happened. What ministers sought to do yesterday was to move the motion, for the appropriation bill, the budget for next year. That's all that she went there to do. Then this surprise was sprung on her. So if somebody tells you that we sent the document to Parliament seeking the approval, for us to spend money on Oslo, Norway, it's not true.
No, but yesterday I had the chairman of the committee on my show PM Express. This was flagged by the committee. It was before them as part of the things that they required approval for. And says he then wrote seeking clarification on it. And so there was an agreement to set this aside, he says, whilst they waited for further and better particulars from the relevant government agencies. You're saying that isn't what happened?
No, Ivan. What we do is that, we work together. The Foreign Affairs Committee, Honorable Jeto Ablaka himself will tell you that he has a wonderful rapport with the minister. When he needs something, he'll send a text. Sometimes he'll call the minister. And, we've been having a very solid, collaboration with them. Recently, when they wanted to embark on a tour of some of our missions abroad, they came to us. We gave them the go-ahead. Go when they came, they did a report and all that. We never went to them seeking their permission, to spend money on the renovation.
Let me ask you this question another way, and I want you, if you can be clear with me on this. Okay. The documents you submitted to Parliament, including the Foreign Affairs Committee, did it not include the Oslo building purchase issue?
Evans, you are missing.
It's a simple question. The documents you submitted to Parliament as part of the approval process for the appropriation, did it or did it not include the Oslo building issue?
No. One, I've made the point that we don't need approval from Parliament to be able to spend money on these properties. One, because it's a loan that has been contracted already, and that loan is there. It's sitting with Société Générale. So as and when we need these monies, we write to the Ministry of Finance, and they will write to Société Générale to release this money, for us. What we normally do is that, like, a foreign, the committee, we meet, and they came to us that, they want to find out so far how much we've spent, on these properties, because they visited some of the properties, and, they found out that some of the properties were not in good shape, some of the embassies were not in good shape, and all that. And these are, these committee members are people we usually, discuss these matters with. Then we said that, okay, then we'll do a briefing. So we gave them a briefing that, this is what we intend doing for 2018, that we intend spending some amount of money on our property, to buy a property in Geneva. We intend spending some amount of money to buy a property in Toronto. We intend spending some money to buy, once we open an embassy, or we open an embassy in Norway, we'll buy a chancery and a residence. So these issues.
So you were informing Parliament of your intention to buy this property in Norway?
No. It's not our intention. Like I said, we work with them. They come to us. They're foreign committee, foreign affairs committee. So we work together. So they also have to know we are representing the interests of Ghanaians.
No. He said they have to know about. They have to know what.
They don't know what's happening. Like,
no, they have to know that what you want to buy the Norway building or what? I mean, that's clarified.
Everybody, we are not shrouding anything in secrecy. Minister is leading a very transparent.
Forgive me about the transparency. Can you answer the question? Because you said you wanted to let the committee members know. My question is, know what? As far as it relates to the Norway building.
No, I'm saying that we work together. The Foreign Affairs Committee.
I understand that.
Together.
So what did you want them to know about the Norway building?
For issues of transparency, good governance, to share. And when they demand that they want to know what is happening, we are obliged to provide that information. But
so the information provided them was to what effect?
Oh, we are sharing because they want to know what is happening.
So what is it that you wanted to know what was happening with the Norway building?
No, get this straight. That doesn't mean that we need the authorization to spend. We work together. So if they say, we want to find out what's happening with the usage of this loan facility, we are obliged, to go and explain that this is what we intend doing. But they don't.
So you use the word again. This is what you intend doing. How much do you tell them you intend spending?
Authorization to spend this.
I get that authorization. Away from the authorization bit, you've talked. I'm using your own words. You said you wanted them to know your intention.
And I'm saying that.
My final question, because I need to bring Okujo to a black one. Yes.
We're not hiding anything.
So in the spirit of transparency, in the spirit of transparency, Honorable Minister, just a minute. We need to clarify this for our listeners. In the spirit of transparency, how much did you inform the committee you plan to spend on the Norway building? Honorable.
Yeah, Ivan.
In the spirit of transparency, how much did you tell the committee you plan to spend on the Norway building?
Okay, Ivan. So what we normally do is that we've made some projections that this year we listed some embassies that we intend that for some we're going to do some renovation. For some we were going to establish, because we're establishing a new mission, we had to, either buy or rent a property. So we do a list. So they are all estimates. They are all not cast in stone.
Yes, no, I get you. But my question again, Honorable, this is a direct question. How much did you tell them that you want to intend to spend on the Norway building?
We propose that by the end of the year, we'll be spending about 32 million.
No, that is a general figure for all the buildings in the diplomatic mission. I'm talking about the Norway building. How much did you tell them you plan to spend on it?
We are saying that we told them that we are planning to spend close to $16.5 million.
On the Norway building?
Yeah, 60 million on these two properties. One for a chancery, then one for the residence.
Okay.
So we're planning to spend this amount of money.
Again.
Of course, these are our estimations. They are estimated figures. And you can only arrive at the correct figure when you engage or when you accept an offer, by a seller. And we never accepted any offer. There is no document out there that shows that we've accepted any offer. The minister has signed off, to accept any offer from anybody. There's nothing, no document. The document that he's reading, there's no Ghana. That's when I'm putting it to him.
Okay.
That there's nothing in that document that shows that this thing is for Ghana.
Let me bring in Samuel Okujo to Blackwell. Mr. Blackwell, you've been online for a while. My apologies. But let me clarify something. You were on the committee when he says in the interest of transparency, they simply wanted to inform you what their intentions are. When they came before you, he just clarified that what they told you is that they plan to spend $60 million on the two properties, the chancery and the residence. Is that what happened?
Evans, good evening to you and to the Honorable Charles Oredu and our distinguished listeners. Listening to Honorable Oredu this evening, I must say that perhaps because he's not a member of parliament, he speaks as though, they're just being nice to us. It's a discretionary matter. They are just being kind. Please. I mean, Chapter 13 of the Constitution of Ghana is very, very clear. If you read Article 179, it's very clear. You cannot spend without parliamentary approval. Article 178(2) is clear. No money shall be withdrawn from any public fund other than the consolidated fund and the contingency fund unless the issue of those monies has been authorized by or under the authority of an act of parliament. That is why every expenditure must be approved by Parliament. So please, let's get it straight. Nobody is doing anybody favors. There are no discretions in this matter. I can also probably spare the Honorable Oredu, because when the committee met with the Foreign Ministry, he was not with the ministry. He did not attend upon the meeting. He was not there on the 6th of December when we had that meeting. It was his other colleague, the Honorable Tijani, who led the ministry. So I can understand his difficulty. But please, he should check with his colleague. His colleague brought these documents. And that is why today we did this press conference for full disclosure. We have put before the press all the documents we have. It is not true to say that the agreement which I read does not have Ghana there.
That's it?
What Honorable Redu does not know is that document came from their ministry. You submitted this document to us. I'm sure the Honorable Redu knows Madam Doris Bresser, who is in charge of their estate department, who submitted these agreements and these related documents to us.
Mr. Akujo, can you just give me a clarification? Just a second. I just want one clarification.
The Honorable Deputy Minister probably has not done his homework, has not spoken to his colleagues who were at the meeting, and does not know the extent of documentation we have that we received from his ministry.
Mr. Blackwell, just one clarification on this document. This document to refer to, is it the one you quote from that you say had the specifications for the changes to the building?
Exactly.
And you say it came from the Foreign Affairs Ministry?
Yes. So if you say there is no Ghana there, then what business does the Foreign Ministry of Ghana have in presenting to our committee documents from Afghanistan or Gambia or Sierra Leone? Is it now an international foreign ministry? I don't get it. You brought us this document. So if you say that it's not a document for Ghana, why did you bring it to us? I really don't know what is going on here. Then the Honorable Deputy Minister says that we didn't really discuss this $50 million facility. I want to refer him to page 11 of the committee's report, which we presented yesterday, and he was in Parliament with the Honourable Minister. Paragraph 8.6, it says, challenges in disbursement of facility for renovation and acquisition of properties for mission. The committee noted that the ministry in 2016 contracted a loan facility of $50 million to renovate selected missions abroad and to acquire new properties. Page 11. So, yes, I can just tell the public that you were not at the meeting, but don't present it as though some of us are just out for mischief. I mean, we are only carrying out our duties. This is nothing personal at all. It's no vendetta. We just cannot be part of, a transaction which the Norwegian media has described as unethical. I mean, our credibility will be called to question when these matters finally get to the attention of Ghanaians. And it is said that the Foreign Affairs Committee did not do thorough work. We did not carry out our mandate as is expected of us. We derelicted. We checked our responsibilities. We will stand indicted. That is why we are doing this. The other claim has been made that this whole transaction we are talking about is not even in the budget, and that I sprung a surprise. You heard the Honorable Deputy Minister say I sprung a surprise. Please permit me to read paragraph 419 of the budget, your own sector under the budget, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, paragraph 419. It says that, just a minute, it says, government also opened a resident diplomatic mission in Oslo, Norway, and 2 consulates general in Port Louis, Mauritius, and Guangzhou, China. This is your own budget. So did you mislead Parliament? You informed Parliament, paragraph 419 of the budget statement, that you have opened a diplomatic mission in Oslo. Were you misleading Parliament when you put this in the budget? Yeah. Then, at today's press conference, we have also produced a document from the Finance Ministry, which reveals that 15.3 million cedis was extended to the Foreign Ministry for the establishment of these missions in Oslo, in Guangzhou, and in Mauritius. I mean, so can we know what that money was used for? You see, these matters are grave matters. They are matters that if you do not pay attention, your whole duty will be called to question. And when you have a document presented, I hope the minister has seen the document briefing on the $50 million credit facility, which they presented to the committee. They presented this document and said that the purchase of chancery and residence in Norway will be $16.5 billion. This, naturally raises an eyebrow. When you see this, it's an outlier because Geneva is 3 million, Vatican is 2 million, Tel Aviv is 4.5 million, Paris is 5.7 million. So naturally, you would want to ask questions, which we set out to. And it is not true that we sprung a surprise. On the 12th of December, we caused our chairman to write to his ministry. I have the letter here. Proposed purchases of building for chancery and residence in Oslo. And if you permit me to read, Evans, it says, you may recall that at the budget hearing meeting held on Thursday, 6 December 2019, the committee requested for a comprehensive report on the disbursement and utilization of the $50 million loan facility for the renovation of some selected missions abroad. The committee acknowledged receipt of the report and thanked the ministry for the prompt response. The committee has, however, raised some concerns relating to acquisition of properties amounting to $16.5 million for the mission in Oslo. To enable members appreciate the nature and form of these purchases, it would be appreciated if the ministry could furnish the committee with the following documents relating to the proposed property for the mission in Oslo. 1, valuation report on the properties. 2, the ownership of the property and exact location. 3, purchase agreement or contract of purchase. The committee, at your earliest convenience, wants to meet you for a thorough briefing on purchases and activities of the mission in Oslo. While the committee anticipates a favorable response, please accept the committee's warmest regards. Signed, Honorable Frank Anodompe, the chairman of the committee.
And I must say, yesterday on my show, he confirmed that he wrote the letter asking for clarity. But let me ask you, you produced videos today that you claim show that renovations are underway based on the request that the government of Ghana made. Why should we believe these videos? Why you seem to show that, and you claim that you spoke to the workers in Norway who said they were doing it for Ghana. I mean, why should that be believable? Mr. Blakwa?
Yeah, hello.
I'm asking a question about the videos you showed in Parliament today. That you claim show that renovations are being done on the building at our request. And that you claim that you spoke to the workers who claim that they were doing it for us. Why should we believe that video?
We've made the videos available. You can carry out your own verification, your own assessment. The video is in 2 parts. We have the external view, and then we have the work going on in the interior. And you'd realize that the workers are on site. And there is some discussion that ensues when you listen to the second video with the interior. You notice that if you get a translation from Norwegian to English, you notice that the workers know exactly who they are working for, and that work is very much in tandem with this agreement which they presented to us, the specifications which they have requested. And it is interesting. This video is interesting for a number of reasons. One, it shows that on the 14th of December, that's when this video was taken, work was still going on in the name of Ghana, and that is contrary to the claim that on the 12th of December, a letter was written withdrawing Ghana's interest from this whole transaction. So that is one. 2, it also shows that not much really happened in terms of raising the value of that facility. Remember, it was bought in August 2017, last year, for $3.5 million. When you see the video, you notice that, because there are some people who thought that maybe the astronomic rise, the meteoric rise from $3.5 million to $12.2 million might be because some extensive work must have gone on in the building, or some transformation had occurred with the building. But when you watch the video, you notice that it's pretty much a basic facility. It looks quite old and
no. Well, I've seen videos of that building today. It doesn't look old at all. It looks pretty plush. Mr. Kujoto, by the way, my final question to you before I bring in the minister. The government's fundamental argument is not a penny has been spent on this building. You challenge that. Do you have evidence to contradict that claim?
Yes, a number of reasons why we challenge that. First, the release from the Ministry of Finance, dated 20th October 2018, a copy of which we have. 15.3 million release. But
that is not proof of spending money. It's proof of release of funds.
Yes. So yes. I mean, so we have to know exactly where that money went to.
Yeah, but you don't know. So how can you make a conclusion that it has been spent?
That is why we are calling for a probe. We have said that we want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. The Minister of Finance and the Minister for Foreign Affairs cannot both be right on this matter when they are saying different things. One says, I have not received any money, I haven't spent any money anywhere. Another says, I have released 15.3 million cedis to you. Evans,
but that's not a contradiction.
You don't think that must be investigated?
No, but it's not a contradiction. The Finance Minister says that I have released money. The government says I haven't. The government says I haven't spent the money. It's not a contradiction. I released the money. Yes, I received it, but I haven't spent it. You say you have spent it, yet the evidence isn't there.
I am telling you that the evidence we have shows that releases have been made. I'm also telling you that the evidence I have is that there is an officer who has been working for some time now in the name of Ghana in Oslo. How are we taking care of that officer? And I am also telling you, the third point is that I'm telling you that you have this agreement which, in intents and purposes, encapsulates what the party set out to do. An offer was made. The Ghanaian government then sent in their specifications, what they want done to the building. That has happened. Now, I don't believe the seller is Father Christmas, though we are in the Christmas season. If you're pulling out when you did not decline this offer in 7 days, but on the 6th of December you came to Parliament still showing interest in this transaction. And if you look at clause 7 of this agreement, it says that 7 days after the 22nd of November 2018, you should let the offeror know what your interest is in this matter, whether you still have an interest to proceed or not. Now, to the extent that way after 7 days, you were still telling Parliament you are interested in this facility, now you say that you are backing out. Are there any liabilities? Who is going to pay for all the works that started in that building? We need to know. These are questions. We are also told, if you read the statement that they issued this morning, that they engaged the services of a lawyer and an agency
and an evaluator
to help them get properties. Yeah, I mean, so were they all working for free? Lawyers are now working for Ghana for free, So there's so many questions and so many expenditure items that we see, and yet we are being told that not a peso has been expended, and we find it very difficult to believe.
Let me bring in the Deputy Minister. Mr. Redu, the minority is asking for a full probe. Will that happen?
Evans. Now, he made certain statements that I would want to help educate him. Now, one, I think that his understanding of a mission means like a building. Evans, if we say
please. I don't think we should.
Please, let me
we should be insulting. I mean, a mission that's not always in a building.
I didn't interject, so please let me learn. When I'm done, the fact that we've established a mission in a country doesn't mean that we have physical buildings there. That's one. I can put on record that we've established a mission in Norway. This was done on the 21st of November, but we don't have properties there. Now, two, the issue of, he mentioned the issue of Paris, Tel Aviv. I thought that this morning when we had the banter, I tried to explain things to you, and you accepted it, but you've raised it here again. Now, I told you, that when you visited Paris, you were there, you visited Paris, you saw the properties. And we said that the properties were not in good condition. So we decided to relocate. The plan is to relocate the staff there, put the Chancery in good shape and later get them there. So if you see a figure of, say, 5 million and you are comparing this, to a brand, like a new property that you're going to buy, then you can't be comparing two apples here. Again, he made the case of the lawyers and the agents. It's true. In Ghana, even if you want to rent or if you want to buy a property, you engage the services of an agent. Don't we all do that? Now, we engage the service of a lawyer. The lawyer made some proposals. We saw the proposal. Initially, we said, okay, this is okay. We will look at it and begin discussions. Later, we've changed our mind. As we speak now, we've changed our mind. So the lawyers are still ongoing, searching for an appropriate property for us. So to raise this issue that, because you've engaged the services of a lawyer or of an agent, we've started spending. Once you engage this, once they've not delivered, because they've not delivered what we want, it's still outstanding.
Will there be a full probe? Yes, please.
Now,
briefly.
On the proof of release of funds, now, he said that he's seen a document, signed by a minister to the Minister of Finance, requesting them to release some funds. Now, these funds are for goods and services, for our three missions, Oslo, Pont Louis, that's the capital of Mauritius, and Guangzhou. Everybody knows the business hub, in China. Now, these monies are not used to buy properties. You can't use goods and services to buy properties. No, they are used to buy, make the office operational, like use of computers, use of A4 sheets, cars, and all that. So once they've released this money, that doesn't mean that, and let me also confirm that I can authoritatively state that all these monies have been released to us, but we've not spent a pesewa. The monies are still lodged in our accounts. We've not spent a pesewa. So let me end by saying that once these things go through, PPA will also have to come in, because you can't do anything without the PPA. So PPA, you can speak to PPA, whether they are aware that we've bought a property. We can't do that. We've bought other properties that PPA gave us the green light to do. So we can't do this on the blind side of the PPA. And finally, the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs will have to append her signature before any offer is accepted. Now, let him show us whether he has a document that has the signature of my boss, the minister, or even us, the deputies, showing that we've accepted any property. What is read copiously to you is just an offer that somebody is proposing. And I'm telling you that the Ghanaian taxpayer has not been shortchanged because we've not spent a peso.
My final question to you, will there be a full probe as they've asked?
Well, that he's posed the questions to His Excellency the President. I'm not the President. I'm an appointee to His Excellency the President. So for me, if the President seeks my counsel on this matter, I'll tell the President that it's neither here nor there, because we have all the documents to prove that as we speak now, Ghana, we don't own a property in Oslo.
I'm grateful that you joined us. I'm grateful that you joined us, Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister Charles Oredu. Also on the line with us is a minority spokesperson on foreign affairs, who's also the ranking member on the that committee in Parliament. Want to join us? There's been a lot of, the government also has documents, pictures that they hold to prove their case. And I'm sure you heard the minority also has videos and pictures to prove their case as well. You want to join me on PM Express, because we'll be showing you these documents and the videos both sides have to prove their case, and you can make up your own mind once you've watch these videos and pictures as both sides produce to back their case. Still ahead here on News Night, stories we are following for you tonight. We are scandalized. Words of GII as it cites 8 major corruption scandals under the Akufo-Addo administration, which have not been resolved 2 years into his tenure.
We at the Ghana Integrity Initiative are also scandalized by recent reports that some government appointees are withholding information from the police.
We'll bring you the latest details on some of these cases. Also tonight, Millennium Challenge Corporation warns success of proposed privatization of the Electricity Company of Ghana depends on what they describe as reasonable tariff yet to be sanctioned by the PURC.
The intention is hopefully to complete that process by the end of this year. So time is of the essence. What we are seeking is what we consider a reasonable tariff to make sure that this concession is in fact successful and that we can, I think, collectively provide the electricity, reliable electricity.
But President Akufo-Addo is hopeful of a deal before the end of the year.
Current compact has reached a very critical stage. We're about to witness the transfer of the electricity corporations in the hands of the concessionaire that came through a process the unions are supervised.
Tonight we'll hear from the minority who are asking Ghanaians to brace for higher increases in tariffs. And on a story we are following for you tonight, the special one becomes the sacked one. Manchester United fans in Ghana look to life without Jose Mourinho as the Reds struggle to transition from the Ferguson era continues.
If Man U did not do something about it, they will continue going down and going down and going down.
I'm very disappointed with management and the coach. So if they sack the coach, it's okay.
You want to join us with your views, feel free to do so. I want to hear you on the issue about the Oslo, Norway building scandal, plus all the stories that we're about to dig into tonight. 0244340437 is a WhatsApp line. My name is Evans Mensah. Stay with us after the break.